Hello, everyone. My name is Ian Sylvain. I'm joined here with Ben and Nathaniel. Once again, we are here to discuss Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
It was a good one.
Wow.
Such enthusiasm.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
At the beginning.
This was a massive movie. The longest Marvel movie to date. 3 hours, 2 minutes.
3 hours and 2 minutes?
I
How long
believe
was
so.
Infinity War?
I think it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes, maybe, or maybe just a simple 2 hours and 30 minutes, like most movies.
This is 181 minutes. So that's Endgame.
So that's 3 hours and 1 minute. And it's all the same. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It counts 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Infinity War is 149.
So
It's about
30 minutes shorter.
ish.
Yep.
32 minutes shorter.
All right, let's get right into it. We are spoiling everything.
Spoiler alert.
Which at this point,
Yeah, but then again, today, after almost a month, past a month now, they re-released it. So I mean, technically, the movie shouldn't even be out in theaters anymore.
yeah.
But
And today was the first day you saw it, and today is the
Yeah.
11th of July.
11th of July, and this is the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
What did I think? Wow. Just wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where did
we didn't talk about it in the theaters, obviously, because we want to pull everything out in this video. But I was still kind of speechless. It was the same thing with Infinity War. It was like after you were done watching it, you just had to like think about what you
What am I
just
gonna
watched.
say?
He was like, okay. All right. So the pacing was very well done.
I can agree.
I liked the pacing. Of course, Infinity War had really good pacing as well. It didn't have the typical like superhero movie pacing. So I kind of feel like some drag on with like the first 30 minutes or something.
Right.
But straight into it.
Yeah. Gets right into it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a second. What just happened? How is. What? And you're really confused and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
And then, it builds up again, and yeah, there's just always something happening, basically.
Yeah. It's like I kind of was under the impression that Tony Stark was going to be in the ship a lot longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like 10 minutes into the movie and he's already out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was under the impression the whole thing was going to be against the majority of it, at least, was going to be against the this and now time
Yeah.
Thanos. Like, I
Yeah,
thought
that
we were
was.
Yeah, that's why, like, the beginning, it starts you out and they just go, and they just, spoiler alert, they just kill Thanos. Right,
Thor does.
right from the beginning, and you're just like,
now what?
well, now what? What's supposed to happen now? How's there a movie after this?
Yeah. I really love how they did that though.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing with like.
What did you do?
Because I
went for the head.
it like scared me at
Yeah.
first whenever, because they were just like, well, let's just go get him, and I'm like, what do you mean, you want to lose again? You guys,
I thought that's what was
like,
going to happen.
You guys haven't even had enough time to prepare for anything. You haven't gone to all the little shops around and bought health potions or anything. You haven't taken like a long rest to like regain all your spells.
You haven't.
You just what are you doing?
You haven't. You have less people now than you did before.
Yeah. But then when it cut to Thanos and you saw how damaged he was, I was like, something else is going on here.
Yeah.
This isn't going to turn out.
This isn't what I thought it was going to
Yeah,
be.
they're not going to just go back and be like, we're here for revenge, and then be done. And Thanos just one-shots all of them out of existence practically. But
I mean, I feel like at that point, that's what he would have done. He would have been like, all right, I just erased half the universe and did it completely randomly, and those of you survived, you're lucky. But now you're coming back and trying to kill me, so I'm just going to erase the rest of you.
yeah, which he ended up kind of coming up with that plan. But
Yeah. But the rest of the universe, not just the rest of
The whole universe and recreate the universe.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, time to be God.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the opening scene, the scene that's actually before the opening credits of the Marvel Studio thing. That was very nice to see, because Hawkeye is a character we haven't seen in a while,
Yeah.
and when you saw his family and it being all happy, I was like, oh, I know exactly
Yep.
what's gonna
And,
happen
like,
here.
okay, so I am so glad that I got to see it again today, because the first time I saw it, in theaters, this couple came in right as the movie started, like right as soon as the second the movie starts, this couple comes in and they try to get their seats, and of course the place is packed because I saw it like right when it first came out, and so they get to their seats and they realize there's only one empty seat there and not the two, because they're a couple, so they need two seats. So we realize our entire row is shifted down one seat from where we're supposed to be. So we had to, during this whole Hawkeye scene, we had to shift that entire row down a seat to make room for this couple. So I completely missed this scene the first time I watched it, and it made me mad.
See?
So I kind of forgot that scene was there until I watched it today. And
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah. See, this is why I don't like to go see it the day after it comes out,
Yeah.
because we went to a 12:25 showing. There was
On a
two other
Thursday.
people on a Thursday. It was us three and two other people in that theater. That's how I like to go see my movies in theater. That's how I like it. But yeah, that Hawkeye scene was really good, and I liked how it didn't actually show his family disappear. You just kind of faintly saw the fragments, and you were like,
Yeah.
ah.
You
I
just
know exactly what
Just
happened.
know. And you can just see the absolute confusion and what just happened.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye's.
It started
It's just.
It started
at
with
first it's just
confusion,
yeah.
and then it's
It's
like,
what?
oh no.
How did you get away from me so fast?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And then
Now come out.
He looks around.
I'm hungry.
And everyone's gone, and he's just he starts using his logic, and he was like, okay, there's no way my entire family could have just, in this open field, disappeared in a split second. Like,
Yeah.
what?
And then after that, he probably started realizing that through the news and stuff that just half the universe just
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really good scene. I really like how they started with Hawkeye, because people were always like, "Where's Hawkeye? Where's Hawkeye?" And in the final battle, he kind of didn't do a whole lot, because people always kind of
He protected the gauntlet for the first
Yeah.
little bit, which was good.
he's underrated, because people are just like, "What's he gonna do against Thanos?" It's like,
What's Captain America gonna do against Thanos?
I mean, at least
he held
Captain
his own.
America's
we'll go
super
into
soldier.
that. We'll go into that later, because got some positive things to say about that. Okay, so right after that, shows Tony Stark and Nebula kind of bonding, almost, because they're doing the little game,
Yeah.
and she gets really into it or something.
And she gets really excited that she won after losing her entire life,
Yeah, she's been losing.
which I thought
her
was really
sister.
nice.
Yeah,
You could just see the pure light.
Yeah.
Wait, I just won for the first time in my life?
and she just won some stupid little game.
Yeah, but still, it's exciting.
Yeah, And then the message that was in the trailer. A lot of people thought he'd never make it out of there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why people think that, because that's
I know,
gonna happen.
yeah, some of my friends were like, I swear, if he dies from starvation in space, I'm gonna be so mad. And I was like, yeah, that would suck. But
It
it's not
would.
gonna happen.
It didn't happen. And then Captain Marvel shows up, which of course that was everyone's prediction.
Before we get to that, I just want to say, in the trailers, I didn't notice how.
Because
Like-
they didn't want to.
Yeah, they
Show
didn't want
that.
to show too much, but I mean, like in the trailers, Tony Stark didn't look malnourished and decrepit and frail and everything. But then in the movie, like when I first watched it and I saw that, I was just like,
Wow.
Yeah, I literally was just like, jeez.
like this is
gosh.
rough.
Yeah.
And already I was just like, this is gonna be a sad movie.
Yeah. You see Tony Stark there, and then you see Thor later.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just start going down the list of characters and talk about them, talk about their character arcs throughout the movie. Because honestly, we could go on about the different like topics in the movie, but it comes down to this is kind of like a character movie.
Yeah.
There's so many characters
For sure.
in superheroes, so it's easier to just
And that's really
Focus
what this
on one
movie
character.
was, 'cause it was the ultimate like climax of everyone's character development over the like 10 years, 11 years that these movies have been going on. So like everyone's, especially all the original Avengers, all their characters are just coming to this final like, this is it. This is what your entire life has been building up to.
Alright, let's talk about Captain Marvel, because I just want to get her stuff out of the way.
And also, she's like
The newest.
in it the least.
Yeah, which I was happy about.
Yeah.
I was very happy about that. Yeah, she saves Tony Stark and Nebula. Go figure.
Yeah. I heard
And
people complaining about that, and they were like, "How did she know where they were in space? Did she did they find coordinates for the ship?" And I'm like, I don't care if they found coordinates or not. She's like,
she's traveling
she can
through
fly at, like, at
space.
the speed of light.
She just
It
saw a
wouldn't have
ship
taken
just
that long
floating
for
there.
her to figure it out.
Also,
And,
those
It's
they
probably
they probably could have tracked down where the messages were received from.
Yeah.
Because they received the message, she was there. Pepper Potts went to the Avengers to be like, "Hey, my boyfriend's lost in space.
Yeah.
Help me."
yeah.
And also, like at the end of Infinity War, no,
Captain Marvel.
at the end of Captain Marvel. That's right. You wouldn't have seen because you didn't see
No.
Captain Marvel. The end of Captain Marvel, the end credits scene, you see the Avengers after Infinity War.
They have
They
Nick
have-
Fury's pager.
Yeah, that had Captain Marvel, like from the end of Infinity War.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had that, and they were trying to figure out what it was doing. And
Then she shows
and then
up.
she shows up. So at the end of Captain Marvel, that explains why she was out there and how she found them, because the
Yeah.
Avengers were able to tell them, "Hey, the rest
That
of our
makes
team's
sense.
out there." Yeah, because I realized I was like,
Yeah, because she just kind of like arrived,
years, yeah,
and it was like, didn't they just meet Captain Marvel? Because I assumed that she was just on her way to Earth when she got them. But that makes
No,
more
she-
sense.
Yeah, because she had come to Earth and then
Yeah.
went back out.
Okay, so her character. It's not really much to her.
Yeah,
Smug and
it's
arrogant.
like all of her entire character is in Captain Marvel. So if you haven't watched Captain Marvel, she's extremely bland.
Smug and arrogant.
No, I wasn't gonna say that. I'm gonna say in Endgame, her character is very bland because you don't know who she is. If
Yeah.
you haven't
Yeah.
watched Captain Marvel.
And she's just
Sure.
like, it's like, whoa, where are you going? I'm going to kill Thanos. It's like, whoa, listen up. You're not Goku. Step back.
Except you kind of are. If you watch
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
No. She's
Extremely powerful.
She's extremely powerful.
She got
But
her power
Thanos?
She got her power
Yeah.
from an Infinity Stone. So, I mean, yeah.
But
he
against
has
Thanos by herself, she would lose that
Yeah.
fight.
Well, if he, I honestly believe.
Probably not, because he was weakened.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But even then, he was still.
With, I don't know for sure, but I personally think that full strength Thanos, without, well, not full strength, but not injured Thanos, without the Infinity Stones, I think Captain Marvel would win. I'm 90% certain that Captain Marvel would win against Thanos if he did not have the Infinity Stones. Again, that's only 90%. I don't know for sure.
I don't
but I really do think.
By herself, no.
Okay, first of all, let's okay. This,
Okay.
I'm getting off topic. now.
Yeah, we're going into
But-
the fan service death battle thing.
Because truly, none of the Avengers were needed except Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Scarlet Witch could
Well,
definitely get
Yeah.
Thanos by himself.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is extremely underpowered in the films, and it's quite saddening. But there wouldn't really be much film if she used her full potential. So, because Thanos would have just died in that last battle.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember seeing this meme at the moment when Captain Marvel is fighting Thanos when he has the gauntlet at the end. And she's, like, hits him a few times. And there was this meme about this person's experience in the movie theater. And when she does that, some girl yells, "Woman power." And then when Thanos one-shots her out of the shot, when he takes out, like, the Power Stone out of the gauntlet, and the dude's like, "Man power," and the girl gets up and leaves the theater. I saw a meme on that. I imagine it's pretty much 100% true. I think so.
Oh yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah. But that was cool to see. Because I don't care for her character at all, you know?
That's because you're like a meninist, so.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. I'm a feminist, you're a meninist, man. Like, we live in the world together.
It's just so dumb because, like,
Just happened.
I don't know. But it was, like, so dumb at that one part when she arrives and she's like, "You got something for me, Peter Parker?" And then it's like,
It's
how are you
pizza
gonna
time."
how are you gonna get through that? It's like, she's not alone. All the women could show up and there's like epic music, and I don't see strong independent women. I just see someone with blue hair yelling, "Feminism!" That's all I see. It's just like so.
Yeah, that was like, that was a little forced.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
like, why on earth would all of those women just happen to be all in that place right at that
Right.
exact time and just show up? They're not fighting anyone. They just stop fighting whoever they were fighting a second ago, and they'd be like, "Wait, did Captain Marvel just show up? We have to be powerful women now because Captain Marvel is the most powerful." So
Yeah.
let's all go up and make our own little power women
Clear
team.
the way for her.
Clear the way for
It's like,
Captain
well,
Marvel
the
when you
guy-
don't need to, because she's way more powerful than all of you,
Except Scarlet.
except Scarlet.
Yeah.
It's like she just could have done that all by herself and would have been absolutely fine. Why? That was unnecessary.
It was still cool. I still liked it.
Sure.
I honestly forgot how many women characters there were in the Marvel universe until that moment. I was like, oh wow, that's a lot of women characters I forgot about.
Yep. And none of them have their own.
Mainly like the one that I forgot about the most was the Wasp, and she just like unshrinks and grows back to normal size. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a thing.
I was like, wait,
Forgot.
who's that? For a second, I was just like, who's that? Oh yeah, that's the Wasp. That's
Yeah.
She exists. Thing.
But yeah, like up until that moment throughout the movie, the feminism message wasn't forced like it was in other films. Pretty much, almost every other Marvel film. But I just always feel like it's kind of forced. Because it always seems like I don't know. I may just be dreaming, or I just may be reading in too much into it. But it almost seems like every single time, the end battle of the Avenger movies and every other movie, Black Widow just beats someone who's should be stronger than her in every way.
I can't recall a single moment of that. I remember
I don't know. It's
Iron
just
Man 2 where she takes out an entire hallway full of security guards while Happy's beating up one.
But then again, she's a trained assassin.
She's a trained assassin.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's a boxer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't help but see the false feminism. But that's just me. Maybe reading too into it, but I don't know. Anyway, enough of Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Hawkeye. Talk about Hawkeye. He's cool.
Yeah.
I like his sword.
I like his sword.
I like
Yeah.
Hawkeye, the guy who uses bows and arrows, but I like him because of his sword.
No, it was cool that, cause like you have that one scene when they're all reporting into Black Widow, and War Machine was like, he was killing people in Mexico or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I bet I know who that is, cause you kind of know instantly who that is, and it's like cool because like 5 years later, and he's straight up killing people. It's crazy.
I mean,
That's what happens when your family just disappears into dust.
Yeah. I mean, you never see the Avengers.
It wasn't unjustified.
Yeah.
Because he was upset
That innocent people like his family got erased, and then terrible criminals were left alive.
Yeah. But like the only other time that the Avengers were like, let's kill him, or let's kill this guy, is with Thanos.
Yep.
That's it. Like they don't like straight up just kill people. They kill aliens because they're aliens.
Aliens aren't people. Aliens
Yeah.
don't have lives or families or anything. They're just aliens.
That reminds me of the scene in Rick and Morty, in the first episode. They're just robots, Morty. He shoots one. He's like, ah. Jerry's been not Jerry, but he's like, this guy's been shot. Someone call his wife and children. That's what it reminds me of.
But those aliens are invading their planet, and it's all out war. So
Yeah.
they kill people in war. This happens.
And also they're
Invading their
space
planet.
dogs, essentially.
Well, yeah, those. I was thinking of the first Avengers.
Chitauri.
Yeah, the Chitauri.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chitauri probably have actual lives, but
Space dogs. They're dogs.
yeah.
Anyway, Hawkeye.
Yes. Sorry, we get off topic really easily, as you may have noticed. Hawkeye's character in this was really well done, I think.
Yeah. I always found him likable
Mm-hmm.
because I liked him in the first Avengers and stuff. But I just found him more so in this one because he actually had something happen to him and stuff. So
Yeah.
Felt like you had an emotional connection to him, whereas previously,
Not so much.
he was just always there.
Yeah, and his connection to Black Widow made it. I mean, they've always been like together because of their past, and they're like best friends or whatever. So it would make sense that they would go on their mission for the Infinity Stone together.
Yeah. And of course, that just so happened to be the Soul Stone, which we all know how that happened in the last movie. But I liked how it happened in this one.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about it is when they realized what they had to do, and then it like cut away, and then they kind of played it off as a joke when he's like, "Hey, how are you? Just hanging out over here."
Yeah.
And I was just like, that was.
I'm
Yeah,
okay
that's
with
just-
that though. I'm okay with that because that's who Hawkeye is.
I mean, yeah, that's.
That just felt like Hawkeye's character.
Yeah.
And then he immediately got really serious again right after that. So
Yeah, but
that didn't bother me.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was just the editing of it.
Yeah, it could
I don't
be.
know. Because it was just like a sudden change.
Yeah, I can see that.
The first time
The
I
editing.
watched it, it didn't faze me at all. But then I remember talking to you and you saying something about that previously. So then I noticed it in the second time I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I could kind of see that, but still, I don't think it was.
I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. It just
Yeah.
kind of took me out of the moment for a second.
I liked how they fought over who was gonna die.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I thought they were actually gonna come to an agreement of who was. I don't know
They
why I
want
would
to.
thought that.
I
but-
don't know why I did either. I was like, are you seriously like agreeing to someone sacrificing themselves? Why? And then
And then they
I
just start
realized-
fighting, and then
and
it's
I was
like,
like,
oh yeah.
That makes more sense. Why didn't I think anything else was gonna happen?
I was kind of glad that it was Black Widow. Not because I'm not like biggest fan of her character. I like her character a lot, but
Yeah,
I didn't want it to be Hawkeye because of. It made more sense for him not to do it because added weight to the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Because he does end up getting to meet his family again.
Yeah.
With Natasha, she didn't really have like family.
Yeah.
Her family
Except
was
for-
the Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers.
She didn't have anyone outside of them.
She didn't even know who her dad was until she went to Vormir.
Yep.
Yeah, Ivan. Some dude named Ivan.
Ivan.
Is that relevant to the comics? I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know.
I don't know enough
Widow's
about
history.
Black Widow.
Yeah, I don't either. None of us do. It
Uh,
could be.
We might as well talk about Black Widow while we're talking about Hawkeye.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
She kind of, like, with the 5-year time skip, she kind of took head of the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
which I liked. Thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And there's Captain America, and he's just going to, like, AA meetings or something. It was, okay, she's actually doing something important.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Well, I wouldn't say what Captain America's doing isn't important. He was just.
yeah.
He, at that point, had pretty much accepted that all this was happening and there wasn't anything he could do about it. And so he was just like, I'm just going to help the people here because they need help.
But you can still tell that he didn't really accept it.
Yeah, obviously he wasn't fully accepting of it, but he wanted.
He was
He
trying.
couldn't think of any other way to handle the situation. So
They were both handling it in their own ways.
Yeah.
And his way was to help others, and her way was to stay busy.
Yep. Yeah, of course, crime and all that still kept going. So,
Mm-hmm.
Thanos was wrong, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I
the
don't
world
think.
didn't become a better. The whole. I mean, the whole universe didn't just fix itself because half of it was erased. And so, but
yeah.
of course, he realized that at the end, and I believe that.
Well, I can't hear you.
So I believe that his solution by the end of the movie makes sense, and it probably would have worked, but it's not cool.
Again. Well, not again. I've said this before, but not like on camera or recording. The reason Thanos is such a good villain is because he's so convinced he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just like,
He's not doing it to be the bad guy.
yeah.
He thinks he's the hero. He believes that what he's doing.
He sees the Avengers as,
villains.
yeah, almost like villains trying to stop him from showing mercy.
Yeah.
Quotation.
I think there were parts of his plan that were right. I mean, half the population would solve a lot of problems. It would create a lot of problems as well. Like, now we have all these extra cars just in the road that you can't deal with.
Yeah, you saw a bunch of trash just on the road when Ant-Man came out.
You have all these... I mean... Yeah, no.
I watched a video. It was on Facebook about what would happen if half the population were to just stop existing. And it was like right after Infinity War came out, I think. And there were actually a lot of plus sides to it. I don't remember what like any of them were because it's been a long time since I watched the video. But there are other ways to get to that point without killing half the population.
Yeah.
And then there was another video that I watched where it talked about how people are saying if Thanos is trying to save the universe, why doesn't he double the resources rather than decrease the population?
Yeah.
And it's because Thanos is a villain. Therefore, good villains see themselves as the hero, but they have a flaw which makes them
a villain. Which
makes them in the way of the hero's point of view. And his flaw was massacre. Like, he just enjoys warmongering and killing and stuff.
Yeah.
So his solution was kill the population, and that'll give you more resources.
Yeah. At the end, he even says he'll enjoy erasing everything and starting over.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is, we're already talking about Thanos, so let's just continue to. We did already mention that he died. Main timeline, Thanos dies, and then that was surprising though because it was like as soon as he died, it was like 5 years later, like right after that scene, it said 5 years later. And I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting anything like this.
Yeah.
I was expecting time travel because Ant-Man and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was what everybody was talking about.
Now I think it's.
But I wasn't expecting a time skip like that.
Now I think it's kind of funny because all the Marvel films from this point on will be 5 years ahead of us rather than the right now.
Yeah, because they've been like the timeline for all the Marvel movies have been like, oh yeah, it's the present year, so it's like Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014. Oh, it takes place in 2014, but now it's like, oh,
Spider-Man Far From Home
takes place or was made in 2019. Too bad, it takes place in 2024.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. I just think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
They
did it in a smart way that makes you not think about it.
Yeah.
But it's only like 5 years ahead, so it's probably not going to be that much of a difference. But anyway.
Yeah. But then I like how 2014 Thanos found out. Like how quickly he caught up to that. Like, oh, it's Nebula's from the future.
Yeah.
And I was like,
ooh. I liked how like it showed like this movie. The last one showed how powerful he was, which this one did too. Last movie, Infinity War, showed how powerful he can be even without the Infinity Stone, without all the Infinity Stones. This one showed how truly intellectual he was. Like, how he was able to figure out everything that was happening just from Nebula's glitch.
Yeah. And I also like how he did a lot of the fighting. Like, that's something that I was kind of disappointed with Infinity War, is that it kind of seemed like all of his battles and strength was from the Infinity Stones. But in this one, you got to see him without any Infinity Stones and take on
Captain America,
Thor,
and Iron Man all at once and basically win.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
I was really expecting Captain America to say whenever Thanos beats him, for him to get up and just go, I can do this all day.
Yeah,
and I think he was going to, but then he got distracted by everyone coming back.
But I could kind of see that he didn't say it because we'll just go straight into Captain America now, because he fought himself in the past.
Yeah.
And he said it, and he was like, oh, that is annoying. It's like, yes, I know. It's like, oh, man, I gotta stop saying that. It's actually kind of annoying. It's like, I figured that when you like, time travel and you hear yourself say something like that, you're just like, oh my gosh, that is annoying. Why do I say that? That's so annoying.
Why do I do these things? Ugh.
Oh my goodness, my costume was like so blue back then. What was I thinking?
I mean, it was brand new at that point. But still.
Yeah. It was just like, it's too blue.
His costume in the first Avengers movie, I was not a fan of. It was like...
It was really strange.
I didn't like it at all.
Doctors.
And everyone in the entire world realized that after the first Avengers movie, because all of the Captain America outfits after that looked more like his one from the first Captain America movie.
Right.
And they're like, yep, this is better.
Yeah.
I don't know what we thought we were doing. That was bad.
So, I'm so happy for Captain America. Mm-hmm. Not because he got a happy ending, obviously, but because he's worthy.
Yeah.
I loved that.
That was so
I always think he gets like kind of thrown under the bus when it comes to like Thor and stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the full movie, but I always remember that scene when they were joking around and trying to lift up the hammer, and his kind of moves, and Thor gives him that look like wow.
Whoa.
And I love his line in this movie. He's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. Him holding the hammer with his shield. It was awesome. I loved it.
One complaint, I guess, that I heard of about Captain America wielding Thor's hammer was the fact that he had like the powers and whatnot, and they were like, he just is using, like, I get the hammer can only be wielded by someone who's worthy, but that shouldn't give them the powers or anything. And I was almost kind of agreeing with them, but then I remembered in the first Thor movie, Odin says, he who is worthy of the hammer shall wield the power of Thor. So, because they made the argument, Thor's power doesn't come from his hammer. Thor is the god of lightning, not the god of hammers. So, like, why should the hammer be so extra powerful? And I'm like,
it's because
of whoever wields the hammer has the power of Thor.
Yeah.
And also, like that fight scene with when he picks up the hammer against him of Thanos, that was so cool. I
loved it.
I loved the creativity that went behind the
the throwing
choreography of him throwing it, hitting it with the hammer, like.
Yeah, he hits it with the hammer because in the first Avengers movie that happens and it just creates this.
Yeah.
It just like destroys everything in like a mile radius.
Off of Thanos and he just hit it with the hammer and it hit him again.
Yeah, that was awesome. So happy for Captain America. He finally is getting recognized as worthy.
It was one of the coolest scenes. Like
the
first time I watched it, when Mjolnir landed on the ground in that fight scene, I was like, Captain America's gonna pick it up, and then he picked it up, and I was just like, oh. And I just
not only did he pick it up, but it was thrown.
Yeah.
And then you saw him catch it, and it was like, oh yeah.
And the second time, like, I still got that giddy feeling whenever he picked it up again. Because it's just, I'm a nerd and I loved it.
Yeah. I also loved it when Thor was wielding both at the beginning there. I kind of wish that lasted longer.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Thor was awesome in this movie.
Yeah. Even though he was fat.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't so fat at the end.
So many people hated that. They hated fat Thor.
Because he's eye candy when he's not fat.
No,
Thor.
but I'm talking about people who like straight men hated it, and I'm like, why?
Because it's eye candy.
I liked it because it showed it was character development, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Like,
felt
it's
responsible.
good.
He because what Thanos said, you should have aimed for the head. He was like, he had that in his mind when everybody
That it was his
just
fault.
erased.
It
He was like,
his fault that
I seriously
everyone
should
died.
have aimed for the head.
Yeah.
I could have stopped that.
Yep.
That's why he aimed for the head later and killed him.
Yep.
And then even later in the final fight scene when the three of them are fighting Thanos, you can see him going for the head every single time.
Yeah.
Pretty much, and it's just like.
Thor. I love you, Thor. Oh,
Yeah.
he's
And
awesome.
At first I was kind of sad about it whenever I first watched it, just because, like, seeing Thor... Because Thor was my favorite character in Infinity War, because he lost everything, and I just felt so much for him in that one. And then this one, he just went downhill.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just kind of was hoping to see a little bit more of the Thor from Infinity War, but looking back on it, like, I actually really liked it because it's a continuation of that. It's just he's going further into depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only did he lose everything and his brother and stuff, which I'll talk more into the lose everything line because Endgame kind of said, oh, he didn't lose everything. But I'll get into that in a second. It was like, not only did he just see his own brother get killed and his friend get killed, but then he failed.
Yeah.
After all that, he failed. Which,
So
he just, Infinity War and Endgame, his character arcs there, in both of those movies, was just perfect.
yes, Thor has definitely become one of the better characters in the MCU.
Yeah, because
Starting out, he was not.
Yeah.
from the first Thor movie until like Ragnarok, I was not a fan of Thor.
And then
Yeah.
Ragnarok happened.
Yeah. I liked Ragnarok. That was the only Thor movie I've seen. But
It's the only
into
one.
into the what I said earlier, how he lost everything. I was so confused by that. Because at the beginning of Infinity War, you're under the impression that Asgard was just gone. Everything. Everybody. But then the Valkyrie woman shows up and those two guys show up. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I was so confused by
because,
that.
Thanos only kills half. So what we
Yeah,
saw
well-
in Infinity War
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
that's true.
half that he killed, and then he let everyone else go.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
I should have picked up on that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Valkyrie and, well, probably mainly Valkyrie helped the rest of the remaining Asgardians escape and get to Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It
still,
wasn't
he-
shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lost
Yeah.
his brother, his mom, his dad, his best friend, and then he failed.
And his sister. Don't forget about his sister. Not that he cared about his sister, but he had to kill
Yeah.
his sister.
That he
I
didn't know
imagine
yet.
even with having a large hatred to your sister and having your sister stab you in the eye, take your eye, take your kingdom,
And not even knowing
steal
you
your
really-
sister. even though he's never met her before. I don't know. That's just weird. I don't think he was too upset about that, even though he wasn't the one to kill his sister. Yeah, that was my only complaint about Ragnarok. She's like, you can't defeat me. I know, but he can. Even though I defeated him at the beginning of the movie, but he can defeat you. I can't.
I think the reason why he could do it, this is going way off topic because this is a completely different movie. But anyway,
yeah, I know.
The reason he could defeat her was because her powers came from Asgard, that Asgard. And when he destroyed that Asgard, which he was the only one who could do because he was that size and that powerful and flame and all that, that's why. Not because fighting abilities.
Still weird, but whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of
okay, moving on. We
That's
talked about
that's
Thor.
a completely different movie.
Yeah, we talked about Thor. Hulk was weird.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
heard
That threw me
actually-
off.
I heard actually that they were planning on putting in Professor Hulk in Infinity War, but it felt out of place. And I agree. Like, if he just showed up and he was Professor Hulk right after Ragnarok, that'd have been really strange.
And then if they had tried to incorporate it in anywhere in, like, if he didn't start out as Professor Hulk in Infinity War, and then they just tried to bring him in later in Infinity War, that wouldn't have worked at all. There's no time for him to do that.
Yeah, the time skip was like the only way they can have that, which made sense.
Yeah.
Because near the beginning, he's in the Hulkbuster suit still when they go to Thanos.
Yeah.
But then the time skip, and then he's Professor Hulk. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't either. I was kind of expecting more of the more on the him trying to figure out why Hulk wasn't coming out when he wanted him to and everything. And I guess he did. It just happened in the 5 years that we didn't see.
I liked his scene with what's her face when he's trying to get the time stone. That was
the ancient one.
the ancient one.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I wasn't expecting to see her.
I did
That
not
was
expect to see her. As soon as she showed up,
Whoa.
I was like, what? Yes.
she was there in the first Avengers movie, just cutting aliens down.
Making sure they didn't come into the sanctum.
Yeah, she didn't care about New York. She was just protecting the sanctum.
I don't think it was that she didn't care. She just knew that she couldn't interfere.
Yeah.
And also she couldn't leave the sanctum.
Yeah.
But I love how he was saying that Doctor Strange gave it up.
Yeah.
Stephen Strange gave it up. And that was like, because everybody's theory, of course it kind of turned out to be true, but everyone's theory was like, oh, the only reason he gave it up was because that was the time he saw that they won.
Yeah, that was the only way.
So
he knew that
when he said Doctor Strange gave it up, she was like, he's supposed to be the best of us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Because of that factor alone, because that was nice. That almost confirmed that there.
Yeah, and like just imagine being in Doctor Strange's shoes, where you have to, you have seen the one way for everything to turn out just right, and the only way for you to make sure it happens that way is to die. And you have to leave it in everyone else's hands and hope that you come back.
Not only do you have to die, is you have to give up something that you swore your life on.
Which means you die.
Yeah.
So.
And then you die, and then you have to
This
make
is
sure
like-
while you're dead that they do everything that they're supposed to do correctly.
You just have to hope.
Of course.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You're just like.
This is
Of course, I always made the joke before Endgame came out and before the trailers came out that the one timeline that he saw, Thor went for the head in Infinity War, and he didn't go for the head, and I could just see Doctor Strange in like Marvel Universe heaven just being like, no, you were supposed to go for the head. That's what I saw. You idiot. We're all doomed. You've ruined everything, Thor.
Wow.
Yeah. I always joked about that.
There wasn't a well, I guess he didn't look at every single...
Yeah, he only looked at 14 million. He didn't look at
every possibility.
Because there's infinite possibilities.
Yeah. So...
But basically, that statement was just saying the chances are extremely low.
Yes.
Because
out of 14 million, you win 1. So that means out of infinity, you win, like, 20.
The probability is 14 million to 1. That is such a slim... You don't even know how... Our brains cannot fathom how slim of a chance that is.
Well, Doctor Strange did.
Well, Doctor Strange.
Because, he's a genius, and he's Benedict Cumberbatch, and Benedict Cumberbatch is the greatest who could have played him. He was not in this movie enough, I don't think.
No.
He was still cool.
But it's okay, because he was in Infinity War. I feel like Infinity War and Endgame, they had to basically switch who got the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Infinity War got the spotlight, but then didn't in Endgame. And a lot of people who got it in Endgame didn't in... Like, Captain America got almost, like, basically nothing in Infinity War.
Yeah.
But then he got a lot more in this one, obviously.
Yeah.
But of course...
They said that when Infinity War came out.
Yeah.
That the Russo brothers said that they were going to focus on the people who didn't get the spotlight in Endgame.
That was nice, because in Infinity War, that was always, like, the weakest part of the movie, I thought, was Captain America's side, and that little group side. So, yeah, that was nice. But, back to Doctor Strange. I liked his, moment between him and Tony Stark at the end there, when he was like, he realized that he had the gauntlet, and he was like, put his finger up for Tony, and he was like, I got this.
This is your one chance.
Yep.
This is it. Right here, right. And when I first saw it the first time I watched it, I sadly held in having to use the bathroom for so long that I walked out during that final fight scene. So I missed. Yeah.
Why didn't you just, like, wear a diaper or something?
I didn't think about it. I held it, and I was like, right when they when Hulk snapped, that's when I was thinking about using the bathroom. But I was like, no, it's almost over. I can hold it a little bit longer. But I had been holding it for like an hour at this point.
My goodness,
so yeah, so I was like, so then when it got to the point where Gamora kicked Peter Quill in the balls, I walked out, and I came back as Scarlet Witch was about to rip Thanos apart, and he started to rain down fire from his ship. That's when I came back in, so I missed the part where Tony Stark went to talk to Doctor Strange about the one chance, and he was like, if I tell you, it won't happen. I missed that part. So when he, like, looked at Tony Stark and put up his finger, I was like, what? What? I don't understand what's happening.
I can't imagine missing stuff like that on the first watch. But of course, both of you guys missed stuff on the first watch, because you had that story about the couple at the beginning there.
I only missed that
Yeah.
one
And it wasn't because of the bathroom either.
That incredibly important, because I also didn't completely miss it. I figured out, I knew what was happening because I saw Hawkeye, and then after that I was like, okay, I know what's happening in the scene. But it was still annoying to not get to see.
Yeah. I didn't miss anything. Yeah. That's why I didn't get a drink at the theater. I wanted to. I was thinking of just getting like a small, but then at the same time I was like, no.
That's what I did. When I first saw it, I got a bag of popcorn and a large drink of Coke. That's what happened.
See, that's why I was thinking of a small.
And then earlier today, the reason why I got up to use the bathroom during a scene that I saw the first time was because I was feeling sick before we went to the theater, and I was drinking water to make myself not feel sick. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you weren't on to that.
Yeah. So I was. So I drank a full bottle of water, so that's why I had to use the bathroom. But anyway,
so
Doctor Strange, my personal life.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. We talked about him. I like how every time we talk about a character, it leads into another character, and Doctor Strange leads into Tony Stark because we were just talking about Tony Stark. I came so close to, like, I could start feeling my eyes getting a little watery.
I literally had tears running down my cheeks both times I watched it.
I know. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. In the ship, you know, we kind of talked about it earlier, but like, it's still nice to see that. Yeah. Him get out of that and stuff, and it was good for his arc because everything
and, like,
just happened.
The way he connected everything to Civil War and basically saying, we tried to have a thing that was going to cover the world and make us safe so we would win, but you didn't. You didn't let us do that. It's all your fault. And then just tumbles to the floor.
Yeah. And I like that it went that way, but when he first arrived, he kind of started having, almost a forgiving moment with Captain America, because he was like, I lost a kid. And he's like, I know, we lost everything. It was like a connection there through the loss that they just had.
Yeah.
They kind of connected, but then afterwards he kind of...
I think it was just...
But it was also his anger. He was just releasing his anger through the situation in Infinity War onto Captain America, which humanly he shouldn't have done anyway, but it was nice seeing that because how I see it, how I kind of, my analysts on it, when he first arrived, he was kind of forgiving him for all, Civil War, because they were connecting through loss, but then because of the loss, Iron Man saw Captain America as the easiest target to release his anger onto because of their past, and that's kind of what he did. That's how I saw it, and I thought that was a really well done scene. You know, I really like that.
Yeah, it really connects. I think it does a really good job of completing Captain America and Tony Stark's character arc in this movie, because they're polar opposites, but they become friends, and in Infinity War they're both trying to make up for
their failures.
They're not their failures, but they're trying to make up for not having each other there. Like on Titan, Tony Stark is trying to be the master planner leader that Captain America is, but he's not as good as Captain America is, and but he's trying to make up for it because Cap's not there, and Cap is trying to be
Captain America again.
Yeah, and trying
because he's just kind of went rogue after Civil War because he was kind of most wanted.
Right, and he's trying to be Tony Stark by I don't know. I guess he's trying not to be as just trying to go in full force without thinking about it too much, and it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how they are, because it was Civil War, and then that ended badly, and then whole movie Infinity War without seeing each other or trying to make up. There were moments in Infinity War when Bruce Banner was like, Tony, just call him, and he was about to call him and stuff, but it never happened because we got distracted.
They don't even make contact with each other through the entire movie.
Yeah, and then endgame, they finally kind of make up in ways. But I already had my point of view on that scene, which it was nice. It was very nice seeing them again. And then, of course, Iron Man didn't even go with them to get Thanos because he was out.
And also, I think it was very poetic that Captain America didn't die and Tony Stark did, because Tony Stark was I saw something.
Yeah, it was from the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a quote that Captain America said something to Tony.
You're not the one to make the sacrifice play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
Yeah. And he still kind of almost makes up for that at the end of the first Avengers. He almost died, but because he didn't, it was kind of like...
Yeah, it's not a true sacrifice.
He was still willingly kind of went in there, but he was still kind of like trying to...
I mean, he sacrificed himself to save the whole universe. Captain America said Tony Stark isn't the one to make a sacrifice play. He sacrificed himself to save the universe. And then Tony Stark said to Cap, everything special about you came out of a bottle. But then he turned out to be worthy to hold the hammer.
So he's not just special because of his abilities, he's special because of
who he is
as a person. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Both of those characters had just amazing story arcs.
I forget what I was trying to say.
It was poetic.
It was poetic.
That Tony Stark died.
Because Captain America was expecting to die, but he didn't. And Iron Man was fighting to not die.
That was like his stipulation, basically, for going through with the plan was, I have to be able to come back out of this for my family because I don't want to lose what I have gained from this. So he was like, I don't want to lose that, so we got to do this perfectly. And then he ends up being the one who sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
Because he could have been, and I think that's because of what his dad said to him when he went back in time and saw his dad. Because his dad said, what was it? Or he said, I hope my son is a much better man than me because too often basically he said, too often I put myself before the greater good. He didn't say those words exactly, but I'm paraphrasing. Anyway, and so that struck a chord with Tony Stark in that moment. And so then when he realized he was going to have to be the one to do that, he was like, ah!
Yeah, I liked that because Captain America's always kind of looked at Iron Man, especially when he was like saying no, I don't want to lose my family, blah blah blah. He always kind of saw him in some ways selfish.
Yeah.
But he wasn't kind of like rude about it. He was respectful about it.
Yeah. Because Tony Stark so easily could have been so selfish right there. He could have thought, I have to make it back home to my family. I have to make it back home to Pepper and Morgan, and I have to continue this life. So I can't be the one to snap. And if he had done that, everything would have been ruined. Yeah. But then he saw Doctor Strange giving him that signal, like, this is your one shot. And what he said earlier, if I tell you what's going to happen, you won't do it. Basically. And he was basically saying, if I tell you that you're going to have to sacrifice yourself, you're not gonna. Yeah. And then what his dad said to him, all of that came together and just made him like, I gotta do it. Yeah. This is the only way.
I've always liked characters like that, like Tony Stark, that always seem kind of like a jerk and selfish, but deep down they would sacrifice their own lives for the greater good, or whatever, you know.
For the ones that they love.
Yeah.
I really liked that scene between when he met his dad in the past, because he never really got much time with his dad, and getting to talk to him, not knowing that he was talking to his son, and just like getting to talk to him, like, that was a pivotal moment for Tony Stark, and I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Tony Stark is from this movie, I probably would have to say Iron Man's my favorite Avenger. Right after him would be like Thor, and then Captain America, and Doctor Strange. But just wow, he really. In some ways, in just the
If you look at where his character was in the first Iron Man movie versus where he is in Endgame, it's like an insane character development, and it's beautiful.
He's always been, because the universe kind of started. I think it started with Incredible Hulk, but it was like a different actor. So
No, it actually did start with.
Iron Man was the first one.
it did.
Incredible Hulk was
Like right after.
right after. It was the same year, but it was after Iron Man.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it started with him, so he's like always been like the main character of just the Marvel universe until now, because he's dead.
Yeah.
I already said there would be spoilers, so. But man, that was incredible.
It was so good. You know, the first time I think I liked it better the second time that I watched it, because I guess where I was expecting it to go from after watching Infinity War, and it didn't go the direction that I wanted it to go, I was a little upset, because I don't know, I don't know.
I can see that. It wasn't as like.
But then the second time that I watched it, I knew what was going to happen, and then I watched it knowing what was going to happen, and I think I appreciated it a bit more, because the first time I did not really care much for the time heist section, because I never really felt a sense of urgency from that situation, because they didn't really have they didn't know that Thanos knew, and they didn't have any reason to get in there as fast as they could get out, other than they only had like a short amount of time where they had to get the Infinity Stones. Yeah. But it just never, the first time it didn't really feel like the stakes were super high. I mean, the stakes were super high, and it was just more of the sense of urgency that. But this time, going through and watching it, I think they actually did do it well.
Yeah, I really liked the whole time heist, and that kind of goes into Ant-Man's character, which I really liked. I didn't really have an opinion on Ant-Man from Civil War, mostly because he wasn't a big part of it.
Right.
I liked him, but he was just kind of like one of those characters that was just there to kind of be there, I thought. But in Endgame, I really liked his character. He was just awesome.
Have you seen any of the other Ant-Man movies?
I haven't seen a single one.
Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp, you don't really need to. It's okay. It's not one of the best Marvel movies. It's not really. The only thing out of it that you really need to know out of any of for an Endgame is the end credit scene.
Quantum Realm.
Yeah.
Because the whole movie deals with Quantum Realm. So it is kind of important for that, but none of it really goes into time travel necessarily. So really the only part of it that's extremely important is the end credit scene.
Yeah. I liked how they did the time travel.
I agree.
Because it wasn't just like, let's just go back in time, do this. Like, they did it in a way that wasn't, even though they were basically, Ant-Man was admitting that, yeah, it was basically time travel, but it was kind of not in some ways, because it was like transportation through like a universe.
Yeah, it wasn't like, and they made it very obvious that the time travel in this movie is nothing at all like time travel like you see in any other movie. It's like they're trying to do it in a more realistic way, because like where it's like, you know, the past of the way Hulk explained it is perfect, is that your present becomes your past, and so the other past of the alternate timeline is now your future, so it's not going to change something that's already happened in your past. It's confusing.
Yeah.
It is kind of confusing, but like I kind of liked how they bashed other films with the time travel stuff, because time travel is really hard to do. It makes sense, you know.
You have to. I watched the behind the scenes for X-Men: Days of Future Past, and they said when they were working on it, they had to come up with a rule for time travel, otherwise the whole thing would just fall apart. And that's what they did in this. They made a set of rules for the time travel, and then they followed those, because if they didn't, then the whole movie would just fall apart and it would make absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And their rules were, if you change something in the past, it splits off from your timeline, and it'll create a completely different timeline.
Yeah, which that makes much more sense than going back and just changing the future, which the Flash did this really well too, because like the Flashpoint paradox, that storyline, that wasn't just, it didn't get the feeling of, oh, he just changed the future into this. It was almost like a completely different timeline if that actually happened. Because when he fixed everything, I don't know if you guys seen the actual animated movie Flashpoint Paradox. Fantastic movie. I'm going off topic, but it's still in time travel. Go off topic a lot. But like, because like when he fixed things and went back, it was like nothing in that timeline happened. It was all normal.
Yep.
So yeah. Still in the time travel topic, so we didn't go too off topic. We just went to DC real quick.
Yeah.
The time travel was really done really well.
Yes. Because it's very easy to just fall into
classic movie tropes of time travel,
which could easily create plot holes, and it could easily just ruin the movie.
Now this is the one kind of thing that I'm like, where I do feel like the time travel and all that kind of, not that something was wrong with the time travel, it's just like, this is a thing that I'm like, why couldn't they have done this? So, obviously, so they couldn't bring back Black Widow because she was sacrificed for the Soul Stone. And soul for a soul. Hulk even said, when I snapped my fingers, I tried to bring her back, but it just didn't work. It's not possible because weird space magic.
And if you think, hold on, I gotta interrupt you. If you think about it, wouldn't Thanos try to do the same thing? Because he didn't want to.
Yeah.
He obviously didn't want to kill Gamora.
Right.
And that's his daughter. He was in tears when he did it. So when he snapped his fingers, you'd think, from knowing everything in this movie, that he would try to do the same thing and it not work.
Right. But anyway, so obviously that doesn't work. But then you have Gamora from previous timeline, and then she gets brought forward into the current timeline, but she's still alive. Why couldn't they just do that with Black Widow? Why couldn't they just go back in time to a timeline when Black Widow is alive and just bring her forward to the current timeline? I see no reason why that's not possible.
I don't think it's not. I think it's more just you would take her out of her. You would take that Black Widow out of her timeline, and also, so you would be basically being very selfish and taking a Black Widow from that Avengers family and giving it back to you. That's a very selfish move.
Yeah,
Also, I don't think Black Widow would agree to do that.
Yeah.
It kind of goes in with the same thing of creating a new timeline.
Yeah.
Because if you take someone from a timeline, selfishly take someone out from a timeline, it's gonna cause some problems in that timeline.
Yeah. Well, that also means that Thor doesn't have Mjolnir in another timeline.
No, because Captain America took it back.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is right. Good point. Plot holes.
But he did not have it for a little bit. He was just there are memes.
That's not true.
Yeah, no.
It would have gotten ripped from his hand, and then he immediately would have been able to find it again.
Yeah.
Because Captain America would have taken it back to the very second that
but
Thor took it.
What I'm saying is there are like memes everywhere of how Thor's just like minding his own business. Then all of a sudden the hammer just gets ripped out of his hand, and it's like, what the heck? How did this even happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how that could have easily become a plot hole, but I like how smart they were with it, because they put it in there. Because I remember back in the day, me and Nathaniel attempted a podcast about Infinity War. It failed, but there was something that I remember because you said that why wasn't Thor present when Thanos first appeared in Wakanda? And I remember something, because I remember a split second, he was outside of the Wakanda destroying the ships. And you were like, oh, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing with, like, you kind of forgot about the hammer being with Captain America when he was taking the stones back. So, it's there, but sometimes you don't always notice it.
Because, I mean, at that point, if they were to go back and bring Natasha back and, you know, ruin that other timeline so they could have a nice timeline or whatever, then why couldn't they just do that for everyone, for other people? Like, where Thor wanted to bring his mom back. He wanted so badly to do that, but obviously he couldn't. Like, because at that moment when, you know, Thor is basically having a breakdown and Rocket's trying to, you know, talk him in, you know, clear his mind, set his mind straight or whatever. He said, those people are dead, really dead. Some people are only kind of dead. And we need to bring back all the people who are only kind of dead.
They're only mostly dead.
Yeah, mostly.
I like that too, because that's something we didn't talk about when we talk about Thor, but here he was having this, he was going so low, just mental lowest low. I mean, he's a drunk. He saw his brother get killed. He feels responsible for half of the population of the universe being erased, and then there he is, seeing his mother, and he's like, I could bring her back, but it's like, I just felt so sorry for Thor in that moment, in that when he went back.
At least he got to talk to her.
Yeah, I felt happy about that.
Yeah.
And she did kind of like help him become.
If he hadn't had that conversation with her, I don't think he would have been able to fight Thanos at the end. Yeah.
So it was nice. Because I haven't seen Thor 1 and 2. Was Thor's mother in either of those movies?
Yes. Yeah. She was kind of a background character in the first one, but that whole section where they were in, that was from Thor 2.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Basically, he kind of explained it in Endgame, but basically what happened was there was a dark elf who wanted to use the ether, which was the reality stone, to like destroy, I don't remember his whole motive, but he basically wanted to destroy worlds or something with the ether, and there was some anomaly where all the 9 realms like aligned, and when it does that, like weird physics things start happening, and Natalie Portman's character ended up in a completely different a completely different world, and it like teleported her to the ether, and then she like didn't know what it was, so she like poked it, and then it like embedded itself in her, and then the bad guy wanted to get to her to get the reality stone out of her, and they didn't know what it was, so he took her back to Asgard to try and figure out what was happening and everything, and that's where that was, and then
that's nice to know.
Like that at that point, so like he was talking to her before.
Good, that's nice to know, because not too I probably will watch those Thor 1 and 2 eventually, but from what you guys say, Thor 1 isn't that great, and Thor 2 definitely isn't that great. Thor 2 is not much of a love to film.
I think Thor 2 is better than a lot of people say it is. Everyone says it's like the worst Marvel film, but I disagree with that.
I haven't seen it in so long. I just remembered that I was very not interested in it when the first time I watched it. I was just like, I'm really only watching this because it's a Marvel movie, and I like most of the Marvel movies. So I feel obligated to watch this because it's probably going to connect at some point. And that's how I was when I first watched it, and I haven't watched it since then. But now after Endgame, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I probably will go back and watch. I still need to go back and watch a lot of movies like it.
It's still not a great film, but I don't think it's the worst Marvel film, and I don't think it's the worst Thor film. I think the first one's the worst one. Yeah, in my opinion.
I do remember watching some scenes from Thor 1 and just being so turned off by some of the things in it. It was weird. But yeah, I still need to go back and watch like Ant-Man. I haven't seen Iron Man 3. I need to watch Homecoming, you know. There's still some... I haven't watched the first Captain America. I've seen the second one in Civil War. I still need to watch Age of Ultron, so I'm just kind of all over. I'm kind of all over the place. Like, I know what's going on, but I don't need to know the details. I know the outline of things. Because I do remember seeing stills of the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and Wasp. So I kind of knew what was going on with that. But enough to still enjoy Endgame. Yeah. So, yeah. The score was the same, pretty much, which was still enjoyable.
I like, because I just love the Avengers theme song so much.
I love it.
And it's
awesome.
Like whenever they just tie it in with the rest of the score, it's just like, yes, beautiful.
It's like so naughty moment. It's like you know it out when it happens.
And then when like at the end when everyone was coming back in, it's like Avengers, assemble, da da da. Gives you chills. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, like it's kind of just
it's quite a generic
Honestly,
score.
Of all the majority, I won't say all because I can't put my finger on every single score of every single Marvel movie, but I think my favorite score of all the Marvel movies I can think of is Infinity War. I felt like Infinity War had the best score of like any of them, because I remember in the theater I was listening to it and I was like, this is really good. It was just
I don't know about you, unless the score is super special, it's not something you notice your first viewing in the theater, of course. Yeah. Now, if I was like at home, only one around watching it, I'd probably notice the score on the first viewing, right? But not so much in the theater. But the action was awesome. Like I said earlier, it was so good seeing Thanos actually stand up on his own. I mean, he was still in some ways, he was taking on Captain Marvel without the Infinity Stones at once, you know? Yeah. So it was nice, because that was my only complaint with Infinity Wars. He was just kind of like using the Infinity Stones all the time. So I loved his sword, too. It was really cool. Kind of like, I don't know why I thought of it, but like one of the first things when I saw it, how it was like blade heel. It was kind of like double bladed. The blades were opposite. I'm like, that wouldn't work in real life, but that's awesome. I mean, it's like fiction, so
it looks like a big old anime sword.
Yeah, it does. But I mean,
but it's also like not disproportionate to Thanos because Thanos is huge. So like, it's a giant sword, but it actually almost works proportionately for him.
I like videos like this because, like, the videos that are like almost bashing Hollywood for how impractical it is. I kind of like those videos where it's like talking about The Last Jedi and stuff that are just bad. But when it comes to stuff like this, because I remember seeing a video about his sword being impractical, it's like, yeah, but it's still awesome and it's fictional, so.
Yeah. See, I like this. This is off topic. But you should, guys, this is a plug for a YouTube channel, Scalagram. He does a lot of really cool weapon things, and I've seen him do a couple of videos where he's like, are the weapons from this video game or this movie or this something, are they actually practical? And he'll go and talk about them. But he always makes sure to clarify this, obviously it's fictional, it's not meant to be super realistic, it doesn't matter, it looks cool, that's fine, but I just like talking about would they actually be practical, and I was like,
I always liked watching him. I'm glad you mentioned him, but I don't think it was him that he might have made a video on the Thanos sword, but I don't think it was him that I was thinking of. I think it was someone else. But, yeah. And that sword, Thanos' weapon, really messed up Captain America's shield. That was crazy. Yeah. I was not expecting his shield to just get beaten up like that. I wasn't expecting a lot of things.
I was expecting his shield to break at some point. I wasn't expecting him to just, like, beat the crap out of it with a sword till it broke. I was kind of expecting him to, like, rip it in half or something, which would have been really cool to see, too.
Yeah, Thanos just picked it up.
Also, did you notice that Thanos caught Stormbreaker?
Yep.
That was awesome.
Which,
without the Infinity Gun, with Infinity Stones, mind you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Stormbreaker follows the same rules as Mjolnir, so it's not like
because Mjolnir didn't until Odin put the stipulation on it. I don't know what else you would call it.
Spell? Yeah. Maybe?
He put that on it, but he didn't put it on Stormbreaker. Yeah. So Stormbreaker doesn't follow the same rules.
Yeah. But still, the fact that Thor was calling it to his hand, and then Thanos just catches it. He's like, midair. And you're just like, oh, what?
That was awesome.
I would have really liked to have seen, and I kind of understand why they didn't do this, but I still would have loved to have seen him try to call Mjolnir to him, and then Thanos try to catch it and get pulled by it. It would have. I understand why they didn't do it, but I still would have enjoyed to see that.
I kind of wanted to see something like that because I don't think Thanos, like the Hulk in the first movie, of course he wasn't in control, but when he just keeps trying to pick it up, like I feel like too many characters just keep trying to pick it up, so I kind of see Thanos grabbing it, being pushed down to the ground, and immediately like letting go or using that as an opportunity to counter or something. Like I think he'll be smart enough to just kind of like
to not try and pick it up.
Yeah.
Or it's like he knows that he can't pick it up. He does that once, and then later he uses that to his advantage and it lands on someone. Like he grabs it and makes sure that it lands on someone. Like I can kind of see him doing something like that because of how smart he is, you know. I definitely agree with what you said earlier with how it showed his intellectual side in this movie. Still showed him being like awesome. Yeah.
My only thing is I wish that they had kind of done something different with Thanos instead of it being Thanos from 2014 out of a completely different timeline. It would have been the same Thanos because a lot of characters didn't really get this sense of satisfaction whenever they were Because, like, when Scarlet Witch came up and she's like, you took everything from me. And he's like, I don't even know who you are.
That was so funny.
It's like, oh, well, this isn't going to be as satisfactory. But I'm going to rip you apart anyway. So, like, I feel like if it had been 2018 Thanos, it would have been a little bit.
I mean, he already had a couple gauntlets.
Yeah.
Or not a couple gauntlets.
It would have been a little bit. Him having the memory of him doing all of that, I think, would have been. Which he kind of did because he watched Nebula's memories.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
But that's, like, one of my only complaints out of the, like, few that I had.
Yeah, that didn't really bother me too much, having that Thanos from a different timeline. Because that sword wasn't in Infinity War at all.
Right.
So it was cool to see that. It was cool to see a different timeline Thanos. Which that reminds me, and I'll go ahead and talk about it in this discussion, even though it's a comic book. But I'm sure you guys are aware of the comic book storyline Thanos Wins.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Not either.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Because it's awesome. It reminded me of it because, so basically, Thanos wins. There's a timeline. He basically takes old Thanos, brings him into this timeline when basically in this timeline Thanos wins. He literally kills everyone. Like no one's left except for one person. This person named the Fallen One, who turns out to be Silver Surfer wielding Thor's hammer, which is awesome. So cool. But like it reminded me of that comic storyline because different Thanos from a different timeline and stuff, and how main timeline Thanos dies because after all this, both Thanos, because the old Thanos has like a white beard and everything, and young Thanos, they kind of like fight, and then the young Thanos disappears, and then you see old Thanos with the beard disappear like the Infinity Gauntlet got snapped. And I was like, wow. That made me think of that comic book because I got the opportunity to read it because like those comics are like so expensive now. Like first issues, like there's like 18 issues I think, and the first issue is like almost $50 already.
Oh,
it's crazy. But it was just so awesome to see that. It's awesome. It made me think of that storyline. So I was kind of, when Thanos got disintegrated and stuff, and his other timeline getting killed, kind of caught, even though it was a new comic book storyline and it wasn't like following the old ones or whatever, it was still really cool to see that. And that was like my nerd moment because I don't read a whole lot of comic books, so that was one I did read, like the whole series too, so I nerded out over that, and that was awesome to see that.
I think I don't know what storyline this is, but I know that there is a storyline where Thanos basically, where he wins, and he basically does what he said he was going to in this, and I think that where he said that he was going to create a new universe, a grateful universe, was a nod to this comic book, because it's basically he creates a new universe, and then like Galactus like comes up to him and is like, no, and I think he like kills Galactus or something.
Yeah.
And then the what are those higher beings called?
The Watchers or something.
The Watchers like banish him or whatever, and like take away his gauntlet.
After he killed Galactus.
Yeah. I don't know if he killed Galactus or not. I'm just
He
someone
did in
told
the,
me about it. I didn't
timeline
read it,
of
so
the
I'm just
new
kinda
one.
and this was a long time ago that someone told me about it, so I'm just kind of like trying to remember what happens exactly. So
Yeah.
I could be butchering the story, but basically he creates a new universe, and then someone does something to him, like kills him or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, that was basically my naughty moment. That was the part that I noted out. Oh, and of course, Captain America wielding Thor's hammer. I loved that.
I just nerded out at the entire end of the movie.
Yeah, it is just such a good film. The action at the end, especially, was really good.
It was beautiful. It was everything I wanted out of a superhero film. Was to just see all the superheroes come together in one big battle and just fight.
Yeah. We thought we would get it in Infinity War, but I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah.
Because it fits so much better in this one, especially with the old timeline Thanos, because he's like more... I wouldn't say better, more powerful because of Infinity Stones, but like he's more determined because he realized, oh, this didn't work, so he has a different plan.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little different.
And he doesn't have to go around collecting all of them.
Yeah, it's right there. He just has to put on the gauntlet. So it was very cool. I just loved all that. So yeah, Endgame. Fantastic film.
Yes.
Fantastic film. The acting was great for the most part. No. This is one that was like, they still had lighthearted moments, like comedy in it, but like Infinity War, it was more serious. Because I kind of feel like Infinity War was serious, but it's, for me, a lot of the comedy kind of toned me off from it, especially ones from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I like Guardians of the Galaxy for their own, for them being doing their own thing and stuff, but it didn't fit in Infinity War for the serious tone. So I'm glad that they didn't really do a whole lot in this movie. They just kind of showed up at the end and was there, because it was such seriousness, and I could see. At first, I was worried when they showed up because I was like, "Oh, great, they're gonna ruin the moments." Because so far, I'm not a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. That will change, hopefully, when I watch the films. And it might change because Thor's now a Guardian. Because I love that. I love that. I love that ending when he goes into their ship.
Chris Hemsworth came out to say that he's willing to play Thor as long as Marvel will let him.
Yes. Yeah.
And that makes me so happy.
He did sign a contract for Thor 4 and Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Marvel. Because I don't think Captain America's done. Iron Man's obviously done. And my third favorite, or second favorite really, is still going.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And I think part of the reason why Thor Ragnarok happened was because Chris Hemsworth was not happy with where Thor's character was going, and a lot of the fans weren't really either.
I'm happy for that.
And so he was just like, you need to do something to my character because it's not working. And then they did Thor Ragnarok, and now everyone loves Thor.
I mean, I liked him in the first Avengers movie and stuff, and I just like his character just being the God of Thunder. But like Ragnarok was when he really started becoming a good character and actually started having a good character arc. Because before that, he was just kind of like the God of Thunder.
And that was his character.
Yeah.
We need... We really, really, really need to go see Spider-Man Far From Home, because I want to talk so much about Spider-Man, but I don't feel like it fits in this discussion.
Yeah, because he didn't really do anything. Like what Nathaniel said earlier, because like what the director said, people who didn't get the spotlight in Infinity War, because a lot of the new people got a spotlight in Infinity War. Now the older ones are getting it in Endgame.
Back to the original 6.
Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was nice. But I cannot wait for Spider-Man Far From Home. And I cannot wait because I don't remember the exact number, but Tom Holland is contracted for like a bunch more Spider-Man.
It's like 9.
It's like 9 Spider-Man movies, and I'm just like, and I am just like, oh my gosh, I am ready. Give me all the Spider-Man, because it's gonna be like it's the 3 for high school, 3 for college, and 3 for adult Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So,
That's a lot of movies.
it is. He's gonna be the new Iron Man. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be glorious. I am far too excited for this.
So, yeah, I think we should definitely do a roundtable discussion on Far From Home, for sure.
Yep. I mean, you see it.
Because that post-credit scene got me excited for that.
Yeah.
For that movie.
I think that was a clip from the movie. I don't think that was.
It was.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, but it still kind of worked well for as a post-credit scene.
Yeah. Someone told me that they were like really disappointed with it and everything, so I was expecting like a really crappy, just something that they put it together real quick just to re-release it, and that's what I was expecting. But then they had the whole thing with Stan Lee, which was beautiful.
That made me tear up more so than Iron Man's death, which it should.
Yeah, because Stan Lee was a real person.
Yeah.
And then just showing the deleted scene, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would love
about the CGI, but it's like it was unfinished.
Yeah.
It was deleted scene.
I would love to see them release a extended edition with that scene fully finished and everything.
That would be awesome.
And then of course they had that short little scene from Far From Home.
Overall, in conclusion, even though we didn't talk about the practical, the movie side of like the cinematography, we didn't go in depth about it, but honestly, all that stuff that we usually talk about for a movie review is just all kind of like, I wouldn't say generic, it's just overall good, because this was more of a character-driven film. Yeah. There was a ton of characters, and that's
If it wasn't, this film would have sucked.
Yeah, and that's what we focused on, because that's what the kind of film it was. Yeah. So we won't go in too in depth about the acting, even though that was...
The acting was very well done.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it because we were talking about characters.
Weak points in the acting.
Yeah. So. But like, and we didn't talk about like this. We talked about the school, but we didn't go in depth into it. We didn't really say all that stuff because it was like a character-driven film. And yeah. But all that stuff, all this movie is overall just really, really good. It's a fantastic film,
especially if you're a nerd.
Yeah.
If you're not, I think personally, if you're not a nerd and you haven't been keeping up with the Marvel films, you will not enjoy this film. And I could say that with full full confidence.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Seen every
Marvel film. Yes, I've seen all the Marvel films. I am a huge nerd. I understand why some people don't like them. And as a film critic, I can see like there are definitely flaws with every single Marvel film, every single superhero film. Yeah. But I don't care because I'm a nerd and I love superheroes and I love superhero films. So it's not that I choose to ignore them. Well, I kind of do. But it's because I love them so much. And I think that if you love film and not care so much about superhero films and are not a nerd and haven't been keeping up with them, then you will not enjoy this film like at all. Because it's as like a standalone film, it's just kind of... Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say this before we go into our ratings. I totally agree with that because I see superhero films as monster movies. It's like a monster film. Who cares that if it's flawed? You're watching the film to see monsters fight. You're watching to see Godzilla take out, Mecha Godzilla and stuff.
Mothra.
Yeah, that's what you're watching for. Superhero films, they're made to be fun. To have a fun time, and that's what we had. Yeah. We had a fun time when we watched this film. So I mean, I've never gone into any Marvel film or DC film or anything like that with the sole intention of like analyzing every shot and being like, oh, this is such a flaw here because this doesn't make sense for anything of that, blah blah blah. I just want to have fun watching it. So, yeah. Nathaniel, what would you rate Endgame?
I would rate Endgame an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It was. I think actually when I saw it the first time, I rated it a 7 out of 10. But after talking about it and just thinking about it after watching the second time, I'm just like, oh, it's so good. So it moved up.
I'm gonna give it 2 separate ratings. Okay, my first rating is going to be 10 out of 10 because I feel that it is the absolute perfect culmination of the past 11 years of Marvel films. I feel like it's like this is just the best way, the perfect way for it to have ended at this point, or not ended because just the end of this arc.
End of the decade.
Yeah, this is like just the perfect way to end the whole arc that's been going on for the past 11 years. So I think in that sense, it's a perfect 10 out of 10 film. As far as like the film itself, just kind of separate from all that, I'm going to go with 8 out of 10.
I'm going to agree with that.
Yeah. I kind of have to because, I mean, as a Marvel film and past 10 years, ending an arc, it is a 10 out of 10. But overall, I think it's a fantastic movie, and I would give it also an 8 out of 10. So our opinions are pretty much the same with it. There's problems with it, even, like I said before, even with knowing that it's a superhero film, there's still some problems with it. There's just some things that you just can't ignore, stuff like that. But I'd say it's 8 out of 10 for sure. And thank you for listening to this awesome podcast.
Long-winded podcast to where we
yes.
going off topic.
Yes, we go off topic a lot, but I feel like the one that really kind of went off topic, but not really, was the time travel thing. Because even though we talked about The Flash and DC, it was still about time travel. So, Daniel, Ben, thank you for being in this.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I kind of had to because I'm kind of on vacation together. But anyway, no, I would do it with you guys anyway. So, thank you for watching, and see you in the next movie roundtable discussion. Goodbye.